Donald Trump has vowed to completely upend the immigration system in this country. His plans would include conducting the largest deportation operation in U.S. history through the use of mass raids, as well as detention camps for undocumented migrants. We could see a return to the inhumane child separation policies from his first administration, which President Biden is still trying to clean up and reunite those families. Trump has also announced that he will not only re-implement his travel ban that focused on Muslim-majority countries, but expand the number of countries that it would cover. Groups like the American Civil Liberties Union, which filed more than 400 legal challenges against Trump's first administration, have been busy this year preparing plans to respond in case Trump was successful in his presidential bid. And I'm joined now by Lee Gelernt, Deputy Director of the ACLU Immigrants' Rights Project. Lee, thank you so much for being here. So let's start with mass deportation. Donald Trump has vowed to use an 18th century law that is on the books still, that would allow him to do it. I think it's the
Alien Enemies Act.
The Alien Enemies Act. So that's on the books.
Right.
How would you stop him?
So we think it would be illegal to use it for immigration. The law is very clear that it has to be a foreign government doing an invasion. That's not what's involved in immigration. So we have been preparing since the winter time for this challenge if he actually does go ahead and use it. And so we will say that there's no foreign government attacking us. There's no invasion. These are immigrants looking for safety, looking for a better life. This is not what it was intended to do. This is a law that was used during Japanese internment and only declared wars. It's really unthinkable to try and use it for immigration. Will the courts uphold it?
That's the question.
Exactly. But we will be challenging it.
The way that Donald Trump has characterized the immigration system in the country is an invasion. He's been using that term probably pretty deliberately. He's not some genius. I'm sure that Stephen Miller and other people who are interested in making sure they can do mass deportation have been telling him that's the way to characterize it. They're saying it is an invasion. What makes you think that John Roberts and Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas wouldn't simply reinterpret the law to say that it means exactly whatever Trump says it means?
Right. So I don't want to predict where the court will go. I mean, I think we all have to be clear-eyed that all these legal battles are going to be tricky. But I think there's a difference, and I think the courts will recognize a difference between his rhetoric on the campaign trail and what the law actually means. And I think the court is sensitive to how a law has been interpreted over time, and it was used in 1812 in the two world wars. Those were declared wars. So I think this is very different. We're going to just remain hopeful that the courts put their foot down on this.
One of the other things that Donald Trump, theoretically could do would be to prosecute people who he feels speak against him in the government.
Right.
Whistleblowers, things like that. It doesn't feel like there'd be a ton of protection there because they're trying to get rid of the civil service protections that currently protect those who work for the government. What would you do about those?
Yeah, I think that's, other people at the ACLU are preparing for that. I think, but we are, from my standpoint, we are worried about non-citizens being targeted for their political speech,
sure,
and for protesting different policies. And I think just generally what we're hearing from our clients is now they're going to be worried.
We're talking about the pro-Palestinian protesters have already been threatened with deportation.
Right. And so it's the non-citizens, I think, who are entitled to benefits, like the families who were separated under Trump. We have a settlement now that allows them to apply for asylum and get other benefits, reunite with their children. We are very worried that they are all going to be attacked for trying to secure those benefits. I think we're looking at things that are going to be really draconian. And I just want to pick up on one thing that you all were talking about. The American people, I think, want some reform of immigration. We want some reform of immigration, but I don't think that translates into anything goes. And I think the model for us is family separation. I think that Trump, the first term, thought he had desensitized the American public to immigrants to such an extent that they would go for little children being ripped away from their families. And we saw people take to the streets. I think if we see the military in the streets or family separation again or any of these really draconian policies, I think people will push back and say, well, wait, that's not what we meant by reforming border policy. And that's going to be critical. I think any civil rights lawyer will tell you it can't just be done through the courts. There has to be that public pushback. So I hope people will not take this election to be, well, anything goes now on immigration. I don't think the American public on both sides of the aisle will stand for something like family separation again.
But if we're really going to talk about this, there were aspects of the legal efforts against the first Trump administration that worked, and there were aspects that didn't work. And so I think the ACLU and other groups kind of owe it to everybody to figure that out and not just rerun the same playbook or do a whole blitz where you and other groups are always filing on everything and appealing on everything and fundraising, quite frankly, on everything. So the Democrats have to look at what worked and didn't, and the legal groups do. Otherwise, you guys have kind of a race to the bottom. I mean, two specific examples is knowing what you know now. I don't think you'd run the immunity appeal all the way to the Supreme Court, because you ended up getting bad law. I don't think you'd run the ballot bans up to the Supreme Court, because you had different groups, Colorado and others, go after Trump in a way that didn't achieve their stated goal and created another precedent for him and spent all this public time with more than one fight. So I'm curious, this is a hard question. I don't know if you have the answer tonight, and you're one group among many. But if people watching agree with some of your goals but are concerned about the past playbook, are you aware of, or will there be a discussion about improving that, learning from the things that didn't work, and quite candidly, not filing everything everywhere to bring it up to the Supreme Court that, as Joy, I think, very, very clearly pointed out, isn't always going to give you the precedent you want in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously those two cases that you mentioned came out bad. They weren't ACLU cases. But I think we're hoping to be strategic. We always try and be strategic. And I think you're right. You can't move on every single case. But those are difficult considerations because there are clients on the ground, and so you always have to measure that. And I think the other thing that we're going to be looking at is what constitutes a win. So even if we ultimately don't win, but we delay a policy for years, and that means people are not sent back to danger, is that a win even if we ultimately lose?
Is there anything you'd do different?
Well, I think we're going to do things different just because this is going to be a different playbook by them. I think they're going to be more prepared, and so we're going to have to be much more strategic in how we go about it. And I think we're going to have to coordinate among groups. That's a very difficult situation when there's a lot of groups with different clients. Your point is a fair one, and I think we are going to be trying to be strategic, and we have to be clear-eyed about what we can win and what we can't win. And I think that's one of the reasons why I want to stress to people we need you in the streets, because the courts will not always do everything for us.
But is there more public acceptance or tolerance of severe immigration actions? Look at yesterday's election, right? It was 2 years ago that we all sat here when we watched Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis take migrants and bus them to other cities and said, this is illegal, this shouldn't be done. But politically, it worked for them. And it went from being a border crisis to a migrant crisis around the country. And Donald Trump has gained more support from not Republicans who aren't saying I'm down with child separation, but who are saying I'm not comfortable with this in my city. And so has he gained more support? So there's the risk less people could take to the streets this time because they have a more severe view.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, and I don't want to be Pollyannish about it. But I do think there's going to be a breaking point. I think it's one thing during the election when everyone says we want to do something about it and we don't want money. But there hopefully are going to be really common sense solutions that we can push back on. But I do think there are going to be lines. You're right. Has the line moved a little bit? It may very well have. And that's one of the things that keeps us up at night. I mean, the legal arguments we do all the time. But how to break through and remind people that these are people fighting for their lives. And this abstract idea that Trump has about everyone's a criminal coming here and everyone's looking to take jobs, that's really the challenge for us, is to get through and break through that narrative. And that's what keeps us up at night.
Yeah, that cruelty and desensitization.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, we're all up with you. If that makes you feel any better, none of us are innocent either. Lee Gillerin, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.